After giving birth, you want to be able to reconnect to your pelvic floor and your core in a safe and supportive way. These next 4 exercises are a great place to start that are actually whole body exercises that reinforces the connection of your pelvic floor to your breathing, to your spine, and to the rest of your core system. We're going to start off on our side. I want you to have a rolled towel or a rolled blanket for underneath your waist and something to support your head. You are going to do these exercises on both sides. I am going to show you just on the one side. So you're going to lay down with the towel or the blanket underneath your waist, and you're going to have something to support your head. Then your upper arm is going to rest on your ribs. So because our pelvic floor and our breathing are so connected, we want to make sure that our ribs are nice and mobile and we're able to breathe into our ribs, which is going to help us get into our pelvis. So our hand is here so that we can feel what is happening in our ribs. So what I want you to do is you're going to inhale. As you inhale, you're going to focus on bringing your breath into the back ribs and into your side body. And then you're going to exhale, and that's going to be a resting exhale. You're not going to contract at all. So you're going to inhale and exhale. And if you feel stuck in the ribs, they're not moving very well, then what you can do is when you exhale, you're going to follow the ribs down with your hands and then put a little pressure into the ribs for the next inhale. So that looks like this. Inhale, exhale. A little pressure into the ribs, hold that. Exhale. Little pressure down into the ribs, hold that. And exhale. And then go back to no pressure. And see if you have more movement into the ribs. Do that 3 to 4 times on each side to get more mobility into the ribs and allow the breath to open up into the back and side body more. And at the same time, you should be feeling more movement downward into the pelvic floor. From here, we're going to change position and go on to our backs. So rolling onto your back, using your exhale to roll into this position. Keeping your knees bent. You can have something underneath your head for support. And you're going to bring one arm out to the side with a bent elbow. Now, place the opposite hand onto your ribs and a little bit onto your waist or your abdomen. And what you want to be feeling for with this hand is if the movement of your ribs. So what we want to limit is actually a lifting of our ribs during this exercise. So you're going to inhale, and as you inhale, we're still thinking about filling our back body, filling our sides, filling our pelvis. So we're inhaling in this down, back, and out fashion. And then as we exhale, we're going to slide one arm up until it's straight out at about a 45-degree angle. Okay, and this is where we're looking for the connection between our pelvis and our ribs. Are we maintaining that connection? Or is your ribs lifting and you're creating an arch? Now, if your ribs start to lift, work within the range that you can keep the connection between your ribs and your pelvis. So you're going to inhale and exhale Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. You shouldn't feel any gripping through the abs. You shouldn't feel any bulging down into the belly. That exhale should be much more of a resting exhale or a lighter exhale, working from the pelvic floor up to the ribs to maintain that connection. And then you would switch sides. Again, looking at the connection between your ribs and your pelvis, making sure that you're not lifting and arching your back as your arm raises up. Once you've done the other side, either you're going to grab your towel roll or your blanket roll, or you're not going to use anything. So I'm going to show you both. So from here, we're going to do a stretch of the hip flexors. They can get very, very tight. And this is just a nice way to, again, start to lengthen out the hip flexor, but also start to incorporate a connection into the pelvis. So straighten out your left leg. And then with your exhale, you're going to bring your right knee into the chest, and you're going to hug it into the chest. And what you're looking for is a stretch sensation in the front of the hip. Okay? If you do not feel a stretch sensation in the front of the hip, then you can put something underneath your pelvis, such as a rolled towel or blanket, until you start to feel that stretch in the front of the hip. Now, again, you're looking for a connection between your ribs and your pelvis. So if you feel like you're really lifting up those ribs, settle your ribs into the mat without gripping through the abs. And then we're going to start to go into our breathing. So you're going to inhale into your back body, really filling up the space between your ribs and the mat. And then as you exhale, you're going to think, I'm going to exhale from down up. So my exhale starts down in the pelvis, feeling a little bit of a lifting into the pelvic floor. And then the belly starts to flatten out without gripping, without pushing out as you finish your exhale. So we inhale into our back and then exhale up. And this is not going to be an excessive pelvic floor contraction. It's just a sensing what is happening, feeling this drawing in between the pubic bone and the tailbone, the two sit bones, making sure you're not feeling any bearing down or pressure. Inhaling into your back body, feeling this more stretch, and then exhale from bottom up. To switch sides, bend this knee first. So you're going to exhale, slide your heel up, bring your opposite leg down, straighten out your right leg, and then exhale to bring the left knee up. And then you would do the same thing on your right side. And you can repeat this about 3 to 4 breaths each side. From here, we're going to go onto our hands and knees for our final exercise. So on your hands and knees, hands are underneath shoulders, knees are underneath hips. You want to try to make sure that you are in this nice long posture. And then we're going to go into cat-cow position. So you're going to inhale as you go into your cow, okay? Feeling the opening in the pelvis between your sit bones and your pubic bone and your tailbone, really arching up, but not letting everything go. And then when you exhale, you're going to round up into your cat. And when you round up into your cat, I want you to round where it feels the tightest. So if you start to round and you feel more tension and tightness in your low back, that is where I want you to focus this rounding. You shouldn't get any pushing through the shoulders. You shouldn't feel like you're clenching the butt. So no clenching and really shoving the hips forward, okay? And then you inhale again. And then exhale, really round where you feel the tightest. Now, some things to be aware of is you shouldn't feel any bulging or doming in the belly. You shouldn't feel any pushing down into the pelvic floor. If you do, I want you to back off on this movement just a little bit. Inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. Good. Again, 3 or 4 breaths through that cycle, really lengthening where you feel the tightest, but working through a range that is comfortable. There shouldn't be any pain. There shouldn't be any pressure downward. There shouldn't be any bulging. So you also need to respect and listen to where your body is in this healing process. So these are 4 great exercises to start with, just to begin the reconnecting into the pelvic floor, very close to having birth, or even years out if you are starting to think about reconnecting to your core and you've not done anything about it before. Again, there shouldn't be any bulging, there shouldn't be any pressure, you shouldn't feel any doming or pushing out when you are doing any of these exercises. If you do, then I highly recommend reaching out to someone so that you can get more skilled guidance for your particular needs.